everywhere. GBS.
Let's turn to Gaza now. Israel is now ready for the next stage, an assault on Rafah. And indications are there. Benjamin Netanyahu, spokesperson, stated the invasion is moving ahead. Good afternoon. This is the ambassador. With me, your ambassador, Jennifer Macau. Now, moving on to Israel. Israel army is planning to deploy 2 reserve brigades in Gaza, sort of a backup. We are talking of about 6,000 to 10,000 soldiers. They are all set up near Rafah. The plan is to evacuate refugees from the city, put them in tents, and then begin the assault. Pulling the map, Rafah is located in southern Gaza. More than 1 million people live there. Most of them are refugees, and if Israel attacks, they have nowhere to go. The north is the Israel army, and to the south is Egypt. So many experts worry that the invasion could be a bloodbath, which is why everyone opposes it. The US has refused to support this operation, but they seem helpless to stop it. Egypt is also at a lot of stake here. If fighting breaks out, Gazans will flee to the south, and south of Rafah is Egypt, so Cairo is worried about the spillover. And they have warned Israel against the attacking of Rafah, even hinted at suspending their peace deal. And this is very important, as Israel and Egypt signed a treaty back in 1979, and Egypt became the first Arab nation to recognize Israel in 1979. It also agreed to demilitarize the Sinai Peninsula, and this was a very big deal for Israel. Since Sinai was no soldiers, Israel could focus elsewhere, like Hezbollah in the north, or even in the West Bank, or even in Iran, because they knew what the southern flank was already safe. It was taken care of by the Egyptians. Now, Egypt is having a second thought. Some officials say Cairo could suspend the peace agreement, meaning Egypt could remilitarize Sinai. And Israel is also worried about this. Reports say that Israeli officials visited Cairo on Wednesday. They discussed the Rafah plan with Egypt. Apparently, the invasion is meant to slow and gradual. Israel may not go in all guns and blazing. Instead, they will go neighborhood by neighborhood. Israel says Rafah is home to 6 Hamas battalions. We are talking of 6,000 fighters. So Netanyahu said they have to enter Rafah and defeat the Hamas fighters. And if not, Hamas are going to regroup. So the target here is for Hamas not to regroup. On Wednesday night, there was another strike. It killed 6 people and injured several more. Their airstrike was more like a warning shot. Israel is basically saying it is time to leave the city before the assault begins. Listen in.
Has spoken to it. And we've had very detailed discussions with the Israelis as recently as last week by secure video to talk through not just our concerns, but our view that there is a different way to go about dealing with the Hamas threat in Rafah and succeeding in ensuring the long-term defense and security of Israel.
Well, that's US commenting concerning this issue. We'll see how it's going to unfold. Now, moving on. At least 70 people have died in Kenya since the mid-March as heavy rain and flooding have continued across the country. In eastern Makueni County, 8 bodies were retrieved on Saturday from a river after a truck. They were traveling in a swept river that swept off, emerging the lorry submerging it under the bridge. Kenya has weeks of rain and severe flooding, including the capital Nairobi, in the country's western and the central regions, as citizens have been warned to brace for even more heavier rainfall. The above-average rains have caused a widespread devastation, affecting over 100,000 people, destroying crops and damaging infrastructure, schools, homes, and even small businesses. Let's
We're just waiting for the water to subside so the young men here can check for bodies that might be stuck in the sand below the water so that they can be retrieved. Almost 20 people were swept away by floods into the river. 11 people were saved. This morning, we were able to pull out the lorry.
Well, we wish there'll be a solution to recover from these floods and devastating catastrophes that are affecting not only Kenya. We're talking of East Africa, Africa at whole. We need to check on the solutions for this. Now, moving on to Haiti. The people of Haiti have had enough. With just a few days after the transitional presidential council was installed, formalizing the resignation of former Prime Minister Ariel Henry, with the list of demands growing rapidly, they now want security, food, and jobs. No more delays, stating that in the streets of Port-au-Prince, it has become impossible to even think about resuming a normal life due to security. More than 2,500 people have been reported killed or injured from January to March alone, and more than 90,000 having fled the capital, Port-au-Prince, so far this year amid the relenting gang violence. The nine-member council acknowledged the challenges it faced and articulated it will vote for the country's next president on Tuesday. But how exactly does it plan to tackle this daunting task? It is unclear, and no strategy to quell the gang violence has been publicly announced.
The deterrent is, according to your comment, already having an impact because people are worried about coming here, and that demonstrates exactly what I'm saying. If people come to our country illegally but know that they won't be able to stay, they're much less likely to come.
British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak supports a controversial plan to deport illegal migrants to Rwanda, signed into law on Thursday, was already acting as a deterrent. Ireland Deputy Premier, that is Michael Martin, claimed on Friday that there has been a rise in the migrants crossing border between the Northern Ireland, which is part of the UK, and the public. Speaking to the Sky News, we're talking of Sunak, stated that it indicated the plan was working despite the fact that no flights carrying the migrants had taken off yet, and the controversial plans was aimed at deterring people from making the risky crossing on the English Channel to reach the United Kingdom. Despite the approval of the legislation, further court challenges may still delay the deportation flights, as human rights activists and the migrants groups have vowed to continue the fight against the policy, which they allege was unethical and vicious. On Friday, Rwandan President Paul Kagame government announced that it would take as many migrants as Britain sends, and that it had a temporary housing ready for them, with constructions underway no longer on the facilities of the migrants to go through the asylum process and potentially gain residency. The number of the people arriving in Britain on small boats soared to 45,774 in 2022, just from 299 4 years earlier.
Well, it's insecurity that brought us to where we are today. A country without security is a country where we cannot do anything. The first thing the Presidential Council must do is look into the security problem. Insecurity has made this country unlivable. We're going crazy, running everywhere and nowhere to go. After security, they need to resolve the hunger. People are living in misery. Misery is destroying the population. Look at all the trash over there. I hope to see them come together to restore security so that the country becomes functional. That is what I want to see.
Moving on to Togo, campaigning in Togo ended on Sunday as the country now prepares to get the polls on Monday to elect the lawmakers as the country's first regional representatives. The poll comes against the backdrop of heightened political tension since the approval in April of a divisive new constitution and a series of crackdown on the opposition protests. Critics stated that it paved the way for the president, Faure Gasibe, for further extended his family decades-long grip on power. However, it is stated that the new system, more democratic and representatives over 4 million people are registered to vote in the polls, which will give the opposition the chance to gain more seats in the parliament. Regional and the municipal councillors will also be responsible for electing the senators, allowing the start of an upper house of parliament. And that international news brings us to our first break. There's more coming up for you. Next, we'll talk about the Togo campaigns, as well as the UN concern over Sudan North attack. We'll also get to see about the Morocco Agriculture Sustainability Fair in the midst of the droughts, and the recent UN over the antibiotic extreme misuse, not forgetting the R. Kelly prison sentence case and the Deep Reef Festival, among others. We have this and more lined up for you shortly after the break. Stay tuned with us.
Mtu aliniinspire, let's say my husband, because yeye ndo alikuwa hiyo biashara.
Yes. So maybe unaweza tuambia hizo challenges zile unapitia, then how do you overcome them?
Na like sometimes hadi nakupeanga do, nilikuwa nimeshikilia kitu yako, ukirudisha do yangu na kupatia.
Kwa hivyo it's like a
inaitangwa small. Unajua, let me tell you, uzuri ya biashara ukiwa umeka sema vitu mingi pamoja. Like ukikosa kuuza sockets, utauza viatu. Ukikosa kuuza viatu, furniture zitaenda. Environment. Mtu au learn environment kwanza, unaona. Unajinaweza kuuko place hakuuzwi mandazi. So nikiweka mandazi, kutakuwa na place ya kuuzwa mandazi. So they all come.
Yeah.
Mtu anaishi Githurai, unataka kwenda kumwekea Air Force za box. Atanunua saa ngapi?
Na mwenye ananunua anajua mahali zinatoka.
Yeah.
So through the 4 gospel books, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, John, we can know the heart of Jesus in depth.
그리고 우리가 느끼는 그 예수님을 성경을 통해 느낄 수 있어서 너무 감사합니다.
And the Jesus that we can feel him through the scriptures, and I'm very thankful about that. Jesus Christ came to this earth for our
죄를
sins.
지셨고,
He carried our sins,
십자가에 못 박혀 죽어 죄의 형벌을 당하셨고,
and he was crucified, and he received the punishment for sins,
무덤에 들어가셨다가,
and he was put into the tomb,
사흘 만에 부활하셨습니다.
and resurrected in 3 days.
이것이 우리가 말하는 복음입니다.
This is the gospel that we speak.
예수님께 우리 죄를 위해 죽으신 이야기.
About how Jesus died for our sins. The purpose of Jesus being crucified.
우리 죄를 담당하기 위하여 십자가에 못 박혀 죽으셨습니다.
He was crucified to pay for our sins.
예수 십자가에 못 박혀 죽으심으로 우리 죄가 분명히 씻어졌는데,
And through Jesus being crucified, clearly our sins have been washed clean.
참 안타깝게도 많은 사람은 여전히 죄인이라고 말합니다.
However, unfortunately, many people still say that they are sinners.
Everywhere. GBS.
Welcome back. You are still watching The Ambassador GBS Global, and we are glad to have you join us today. Now, as we continue, the United Nations Security Council on Saturday sounded the alarm over reports of an imminent attack in the last remaining city. We are talking in the Sudan North Darfur region that is not under the control of the Rapid Support Forces, the RSF. Fighting over the past years between the paramilitary group and the country's military has seen tens of thousands of people die, in more than 8 million people displaced across the nation. And the UN expressed its deep concerns, calling the warring parties to take steps to de-escalate the situation, with the local media in Sudan reporting that a full-scale attack on the city of Al-Fishir was already underway. Here is more.
Remaining city in Sudan's North Darfur region that is not under the control of the Rapid Support Forces. Fighting over the past year between the paramilitary group and the country's military has seen tens thousands of people die and more than 8 million people displaced across the nation. As the UN expressed its deep concern, calling on the warring parties to take steps to de-escalate the situation. Local media in Sudan were reporting that a full-scale attack on the city of El Fasher was already underway.
The 7th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeal has ruled on the 20-year prison sentence for the singer R. Kelly on child sex convictions in Chicago. The decision announced on Friday affirmed the verdict reached by jurors in 2022 who found the Grammy Award-winning R&B singer guilty on 3 charges of reducing child sexual abuse images and 3 charges of enticing minors to sex. Kelly Legal's team expressed disappointment with the ruling and announced of their intention to petition the U.S. Supreme Court for a review with the decision. The latest development followed a series of legal battles for Kelly, who is currently serving a 30-year sentence in New York for federal racketeering and sex trafficking and convictions, while it noted that R. Kelly also filed a separate appeal against this sentence. There seems to be coming good news from Morocco in the midst of all this climate turmoil, as the drought-hit Morocco has been hosting an international agriculture fair in the city of Meknes this week. We are talking of SIAM, focusing on the climate resilience and sustainability. Some 70 countries and 1,500 exhibitions took part in the 16th edition of the Expo, with some 800,000 expected visitors. More than 10 large tents displayed were witnessed with various agricultural products and services, including vegetables, fruits, fertilizers, irrigation mechanisms from various regions of Morocco, as well as abroad. The International Agriculture Exhibition of Morocco, SIAM, organized by Morocco Ministry of Agriculture, is dubbed as the largest agricultural event in Africa. Spain was welcomed as a special guest of credit as the show runs from April 22nd to 28th. Let's watch.
Successive years of drought prompted the Ministry of Agriculture to implement a set of programs and strategies that were implemented at the regional level. And at the level of our office, the Regional Office for Agricultural Investment in Muluya, it was implemented even at the level of the irrigation networks and also the main canals that supply the region with irrigation water and drinking water as well. There is a severe drought this year which led to a rise in the cost of fodder and a decrease in the production of livestock, such as sheep and goats, which did not reproduce as before. The farmers sacrificed many precious.
Well, many times we get antibiotics prescriptions, don't we? Well, I have a story for you concerning antibiotics. Listen in. The World Health Organization, WHO, stated on Friday that there was a widespread misuse of antibiotics through the global COVID-19 pandemic that had potentially fueled the propagation of antimicrobial persistence, that is AMR, while only 80% of the hospitalized patients with COVID-19 had bacterial co-infections requiring antibiotics. 3 out of 4 patients were given them as just an in-case help, making them less effective in future. Listen in. And in a celebration steeped in tradition, the Abidji people of Yabu village in southeastern Ivory Coast marked a significant event in their history with the Dipri Festival, the annual event holding a profound cultural significance for the Abidji people, tracing back to the founding of their community, D, meaning water, and Pri, which symbolizes taking off, reflected more on the essence of the celebration. The origins of the Abidji people lie across the border in the present day in Ghana, where they fled conflict and a journey marked by sacrifice, on one of their own made ultimate gesture to ensure their survival. Here is more.
Every year, Abidji people who live in the southeastern Ivorian village of Yobu commemorate the foundation of their community. The celebration is known as the Depri Festival. In their local language, D means water and Pri means the taking off. The role of leading the Depri ceremony is handed down through families, and this year, Kofi Gessan was chosen.
Initiated by my father, who holds the power of his father. When you bring a child into the world, the power is already there, even down to the grandchildren. So today, he is no longer with us. We are the initiators. My older brother was the initiator, and now he has passed away. So I am the one who is here now.
The Abidji people of Yobu belong to the Akan ethnic group, which originated from today's Ghana. Fleeing the war of succession of the Fantis in Ghana, the Abidjis found themselves in front of the Kamo River, where one of their own sacrificed in order for the rest to cross. The festival is the commemoration of this founding event, where Abidji wears white garments which symbolizes purity, and they apply to their faces with Colin, which represents meekness and peace.
This is the national holiday of my village. Everything that is African is not satanic. Everything that is African is not demonic. The African man and woman must realize that he can believe in Jesus Christ and remain African.
During the Kupon, representatives of families who have been initiated challenge each other to showcase their mystic powers, while other Abidjis only take part in cultural sections of the event. Just got back from the sacred river. We will now go to the public square. Some will take part in the contest so that the others can show their power. The festival, which was celebrated in early April this year, also coincides with the 4th lunar month of the Abidji calendars, which marks the new year in Abidji culture. Ivy Maven, GBS News.
And that international news brings us to the end of our ambassador GBS Global today. It's been a pleasure having you on board, joining us to the end. And just to do a recap for you, Israel is now ready for the next stage. An assault on Rafah, all the indications are there. Benjamin Netanyahu, the spokesperson, stated that the invasion is moving ahead. We are talking of a door-to-door invasion. The US, of course, is against it, and many, they call it a bloodbath. And they don't know how this is going to unfold. And Benjamin Netanyahu is focused. He's saying that at the Rafah, that is where the Hamas are hiding. So they have to get rid of the Hamas. How will this unfold? We'll keep you updated on that. We also talked about Rishi Sunak, stated that the Rwanda migration policy is already at the deterrent, despite some migration. This immigration issue has been going on for quite some time. There are so much controversies. There is no solution to this. There seems to be a back and forth now. Rwanda says it is ready to receive the migrants who are coming to the country. Are they ready? They are still building. There are still some innovations to be done. And more people are going there. Well, we are going to keep you updated more on the story as it develops, how this migration solution is going to work. Of course, they say that they are going also to take the appeal many times to the court. So let's see how this is going to unfold now. We also talked about the antibiotics overuse concerns that emerged since COVID-19 pandemic period. Well, during the COVID-19, there has been a complaint by the WHO of the overuse of the antibiotics. And its overuse could make somebody to be deterrent, to not be able to react to the medicine. We are going to see about the reactions. That as they continue to unfold, and also the Kenya rains. That wreaked havoc in Kenya, causing schools to be extended for over a week. Life has been lost and properties damaged. Even schools has been postponed for over a week. We are going to follow up on this as we keep you updated on the same. And the Haitians now demand the leaders. They are tired. They want quick change. They are totally tired. The Transitional Council should bring a quick solution. Will it be possible? Does the council have a solution for Haiti? Will the expectations be met? Will the demands be met? We'll keep you updated as you keep it at the ambassador with the latest development. I've been your ambassador, Jennifer Macau, and I'm looking forward to seeing you at the Ambassador GBS Global tomorrow, same time, same place, from Monday to Friday at 1 p.m. And may you all have a superb and the most beautiful and wonderful afternoon.